stand for the Country Party because it is the only party in my estimation that can serve the country people. I wish to introduce my family, who are an old family of this country. My wife, who is the mother of 5 Australians, the grandmother of 3. My father, who's in his 86th year, and the first Samson came out here 152 years ago. My son Hugh, the second eldest of my sons, the other 2 are too busy to be here today.
This is Gruen Nation, the show that knows the federal election is a 3-year stocktake sale where every item is sold as a bargain but doesn't work and can't be returned. Same as last time, you won't find any policy talk here. We're only interested in how the big brands, Labor and Liberal, National and Green, Katter and Palmer, try to get us to buy. We'll meet our panel in a moment, but first, at last week's Zimbabwean elections, dictator Robert Mugabe romped in by the usual suspicious landslide. Mugabe's TV ads painted opposition leader, the MDC party's Morgan Tsvangirai, as a puppet of foreign powers, a guy who hangs out with undesirables.
On Sunday, the 7th of July, the MDC launched its election manifesto. But who wrote that manifesto? Whose ideas is the MDC pushing?
Oh, Julia, when the worst person on earth thinks you're the devil? But if Zimbabweans are scared of politicised redheads, wait till they get a load of this one.
Hi everyone, I'm back, the redhead you can trust.
Yep, you can trust everything she says.
If you are seeing me now, it means I have been murdered.
Hang on, she's a ghost? A vote for Mugabe's looking better every minute. Close to home, Labor now thinks it's Kickstarter, turning its campaign into a giant crowdsourcing exercise. Every chance he's had, Kevin Rudd's pulled out the begging bowl.
What I'm saying to you folks is I want $5 from you.
We need each and every one of you to volunteer your time, your effort, your enthusiasm, and maybe even send us a $10 donation.
Ah, screw it. Double or nothing. That's right. For $5 or $10 a month, you can sponsor a Labor politician. Guaranteeing them clean cafe lattes and inner city shelter. For $20, you can send their village a goat. Tony Abbott has pledged to stop the goats. Meanwhile, the cheapest gag you'll see in this entire campaign comes courtesy of the Australian Sex Party, whose recent video has this title card: "What's the Sex Party's position on asylum seekers?" I don't know, missionary? I know the ALP's an orgy, they change position and everyone gets screwed. I'm sorry, I feel dirty even making that joke. No one in their right mind would laugh at that. Thanks, Tony. The natural enemy of the Sex Party, the fun-loving Christian Democrats, have released a promo video that presents their leadership group not so much as ordinary hard-working politicians, but as some kind of Bible-powered Justice League. The Key 5 batteries sold separately.
The CDP Key 5 team will work with you to protect and secure our future.
Hang on. There's only 4 of them. One of them's invisible. They're all ghosts. And this is my favourite bit. They're standing in front of a Parliament House we haven't used for 25 years. It's like the whole government moved and forgot to tell them. Over the next 4 weeks of Gruen Nation, our 6-point plan will bring you the best and worst of election ads from around the country and the globe, like this actual ad from Alaskan congressional hopeful Diane Benson. Because as everybody knows, the most important skill in politics is handling shit. Time to meet the panel from Leo Burnett, Todd Sampson, and from Network 10, Russell Howcroft. Returning from Gruen Nation 2010, former Liberal leader John Hewson and the pantry politico Annabelle Crabb, and they're joined by a new friend, former Kevin Rudd media advisor Lachlan Harris. Welcome all. Let's start where the parties did, with the opening salvos of their advertising campaigns. Here's Labor's.
Our nation faces many new challenges, and I know for sure that the old politics of negativity just won't work. We're a nation of just 23 million. To compete, we must be a smarter nation. That's why we're investing so much into our schools. Our kids will get the individual attention they need. We did better than practically all other countries through the GFC. But now with the China mining boom receding, we need a new way to drive the economy forward. We must work with business to grow the economic pie. I want to see Australia make things the world needs, creating new jobs. We need to diversify our economy, build the new industries of the future, and not have all our eggs in one basket. I'm optimistic about Australia's future. I believe we can meet any challenge the world throws at us, but it means we need a better way, a smarter way, a new way to secure Australia's future.
A new way. That's also the old way. Kev's on his front porch, tireless shirt and jacket. Casual Kev, the Kev we saw in 2007. Russell, what's the thinking there?
Well, I think what is really interesting about what he's talking, it's almost like he's in opposition. And he's almost being the anti-politician politician. And of course, they've had to make it all about Kevin. Kevin's had to make it about Kevin because since they got rid of Julia Gillard, the ALP's got no choice but to make him the focus of the campaign. He can therefore write the rules of the campaign. He can say whatever he likes in effect, almost to the point where he can choose the location, which appears to be his own home.
From a messaging point of view, it's quite interesting. It's the most optimistic, positive, negative ad I've seen. Because if you think about it, what he's saying is that, you know, we're too small, the China boom is ending, all our eggs in one basket, we're falling behind. So he's basically saying if you don't follow the new way, because he had to set it up, then there's no way. So it's interesting that he says negative politics, and I'd say that's a pretty effective fear ad.
But there's definitely two opposition leaders in this campaign. They're both campaigning against the Labor Party, like, have no doubt. Yeah. Both people have the same enemy, and it's that terrible Labor government, you didn't like them, and now you've got Kevin Rudd to get rid of it. You know what I mean? It sounds unbelievably confusing. But the thing about these ads is they're not actually trying to give you an answer. They're trying to frame up the question for the campaign. So then you've got to make a decision. It's Rudd or Abbott. That's everything they're going to try and do. They're not trying to give you answers. They're trying to make you ask a question. Rudd or Abbott. That's why his house. Rudd, 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 Rudd. It's a Rudd fest.
Which was his original slogan. There's another call for volunteers at the end of the ad, but it's not really about time or money, is it? Like, what's Kevin trying to achieve, Todd, with, like, this sort of call to arms at the end?
Yeah, the donation thing is not so much about how much they raise, although, from what I understand, they raised more in the first week than they raised in their entire campaign 3 years ago, you know? So it's done quite well, but it's really about reciprocity and involvement. And it's straight out of Obama's playbook. So Obama did, you donate $5, and they basically lock you in. And what he did is, before the election even began, 25% of the voters were already involved with his campaign before the election was called. So it's quite clever. You give a little bit of money and he locks down your vote.
Also, they get something far more valuable from you than your $5, which is all your contact details. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, I mean, I signed up to the Obama campaign because I was keeping an eye on the election there, and these things are ping into your inbox 24 hours a day, asking you for that bit more help, asking you for another $20, please help, you know. And And after a while, you start to feel that you're in an unusually uncomfortable, needy relationship with someone. It's like, can you back it off, Barack?
You hear a lot about this idea of data mining, John. Like, is it something that is integral to campaigns these days?
It has become so, yeah, very much, I think, and it's a novel way to get that data. But, I mean, Kevin's making this a popularity contest. I mean, the new way is actually a Queensland way, but, I mean, because he's got to win more seats in Queensland. Everything about that ad was Queensland. But having said that, I think...
So his slogan should have been the ALP, beautiful one day, perfect the next.
That's it, yeah. Something like that.
Anyway, there was a lot going on in that ad, but in truth, all I saw was this hand movement.
New way, new way, new way, new way.
Stop it, Kev, you'll go blind. Let's pause at that slogan. A new way is more like a line for an opposition party. Annabelle, can he really get away with that?
Look, a new way is just a direct translation into the Ruddys of moving forward. It's moving forward. We've finished with that old stuff. I didn't like it either. I'm as angry about what's gone on as you are. I associate myself unreservedly with your hatred for what politics has been like in the last little bit. And I am for a new way.
We know in marketing that new is, if it's not the most powerful word in marketing, it's second most powerful. And so out of the political playbook, if you can find a way to use the word new and therefore get people to reframe who the party is or who the individual is.
It's got to make you look forward, right? He can't afford for you to look back.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's all about looking forward, and it's a new way, whatever that is.
And if you had to wrap the campaign up, it would be, if he can make it about a new way, he's got a chance of winning. If it's about the old way, don't even turn up to polling day, Kevin, you've got no chance.
I do love the fact that he hates three-word slogans, unless the words are a new way. Yeah. And the other thing that kind of turned me off the new way is Peter Beattie, who's very talented, lovely, all that stuff. But now you got two old blokes doing the new way.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's, weekend at Beattie's. Here's the Abbott response.
Australia has always been the land of opportunity, a place where every day can be a great day. And we've grown as a nation because we believe in having a go. We believe in backing ourselves to meet the challenges that lie ahead. At this election, Australia has the most important choice in a generation. The chance for all of us to share new hope, new rewards and new opportunities. More for families, better services, a stronger economy and better government. That's what our plan will deliver. Real hope, real rewards and real opportunities for all Australians.
A New Hope. That's a Star Wars film. Why would you go with A New Hope when you could go with The Phantom Menace? The Empire Strikes Back. They're all good. John, how do you rate the slogan?
Well, look, it's got the word new in it, and it's got the word hope in it. And you've got to set it in context. I mean, go back to some of the other slogans that the Liberal Party's used over the years. I mean, Malcolm Fraser in 1983 against Bob Hawke, we're not waiting for the world. Actually, he was, because he needed the world economy to recover to pull us out of recession. And in 1990, I mean, against Peacock, after the coup with Howard, his campaign slogan was, Andrew is the answer. I rang up the headquarters and said, shit, if Andrew's the answer, what's the bloody question? They dropped it after about 10 days. In the context of those sort of experiences, this is a damn good slogan.
Looking at that ad, I think it would be more accurate to say a new white hope. Have you noticed how many white people are in that ad? It's like, particularly blonde women with children. It's like a 4-to-1 ratio. And I'm surprised that the research didn't tell them to get more ethnic, like it would, and say, add some diversity into the ad. I mean, it's really white.
There's sort of an implication there that things are hopeless. I think there's an overstatement in it. Yeah. And I'm not so... And I think because of its overstatement, I think that it's just not as powerful as it could be.
Rudd was trying to make the question Rudd or Abbott. It's clear Abbott there. He doesn't want Abbott in the question. He wants the question to be about Labor or Liberal. And if he can frame the election up like that, like about Labor or Liberal in the past, Rudd really has no chance. But also both ads, they're lubing you up for the negative as well, right? We can see that really clearly.
Using that phrase. Yeah. And could you please never use it again?
What I mean is...
Well, I like to be lubed up for the negative before I get my suppository of wisdom.
Tony knows he's unpopular. right? And he's not going to let it be a popularity contest between himself and Rudd. So Rudd's running a popularity contest. Tony's doing everything not to make it a popularity contest. And so the bulk of the ad is about everything else. They're ticking.
Well, let's walk through the ad if we could. Kevin's all over the Labor ad, but Tony doesn't appear until the last 5 seconds of his, a shot bathed in flattering light through the plane window. It's an image borrowed from The West Wing, which borrowed it from every president since Kennedy. Lachlan, what's its job in this ad?
Look, Abbott wants to feature in this campaign as little as possible, but when he's there, he just wants to look like a credible Prime Minister. He doesn't want you to engage in the idea of Rudd v Abbott. He wants you to engage in the idea of Liberal v Labor. But I think the best thing about these two ads in terms of interest is they probably tell you exactly where the negatives are going to go in the next round, because they're setting the groundwork for negatives, right? So you've got this, we've got a plan, we're stable. I guarantee you in 2 weeks it'll be, they're chaos, they're a nightmare, they're out of control, insulation. Labor's doing the opposite, right? Labor's doing this, I'm inclusive, I'm kind of Kevin Rudd, I love everyone, I'm on a veranda, you know what I mean?
Back to the window shot, because it has kind of become the money shot of politics, hasn't it? And if you look back, they use this metaphor that real leaders look out windows, not into mirrors, you know, and that's what they're trying. That's why all these presidents have done it before him. And this was shot a number of years ago. I think it was shot in 2010, and it cost them $2,000 for this photograph. And it's probably the best photograph because of the way the shadows lie on his face, because he actually looks younger and he doesn't look as menacing as he normally looks. Really? Yeah.
Russian presidents, of course, just fly the plane. Given how much we've heard about the coalition's war chest, the Liberal ad's pretty cheap. It looks like it's been thrown together in an hour with a few stock photos, though I did like the kids in blue ties. Russell, what's achieved by low production values?
Well, what they want to do, of course, is spend as much money as they possibly can on media. So if they can get the production costs down, then that therefore frees up a whole lot of money to do other things. And of course, these days, it is really easy to make advertising that's really cheap. And ultimately, they're not trying to be an Apple, they're not trying to be a brand and create, you know, really high production value stuff. They're just trying to get a message out there over a very short period of time, and they need every dollar they possibly can to spend in media.
It looks like an animatic. So in our business, to get advertising through, most clients, and particularly government, we create a kind of mock ad as cheaply as possible, because we don't shoot the ad before we show it and research it. So we put some photos together, a couple of words, we show it in research, they give us the okay, then we shoot the ad and spend all the money. It looks like they did that, and they went, well, that looks pretty good. Let's just run that.
You've nailed that. Let's move on. Truth is, both ads are much more similar than they are different. They tell us what a great country we are. They show us kids in schoolrooms, blokes working hard, and women doing high-tech sciencey things. If you go back and look at the opening ad of Kevin 07, you find kids in schoolrooms, blokes working hard, and women doing high-tech science. Oh, do they think nobody will notice?
I don't think they care.
Yeah.
Like, I really think this is the appetizer to the avalanche of negativity that will be coming, predict, within the next couple of days. But Tony's is quite different. What I like about Tony Abbott's ad is the free downloadable gift you get at the end of his ad. I love the notion that they have no intention of people downloading that. They just want to let you know that it's there, because the barrier of actually downloading it, printing it out, looking at it, reading it, they're not going to do that. It's like a little steak knives at the end of Tony's ad.
I mean, I don't know why they made that ad anyway. It's almost like you're saying, why? It's like, why bother? So why did they bother making that ad?
It's the Brussels sprouts before dessert, right? You can't just come out negative day one, because then you get a negative blowback from that.
What I love the most is, so far, this ad has been described 3 different times. Firstly as an appetizer, secondly as Brussels sprouts, and last but not least as lube. Never want to come to a dinner party at any of your houses. Labor and Liberal have given us old ads pretending to be new ones, but the Nationals couldn't even be bothered going that far.
Just because you don't live in big cities doesn't mean your voice won't be heard. Together you are the majority. Speak as one and you can change your world. Voice of Australia, you can make changes, make yourself heard. You are the voice of Australia, don't let that voice fail you, make yourself heard.
I am the voice of Australia. I love that song. The Nats had 3 years to come up with something new, but went with the same song and the same slogan. But still didn't rhyme any of it with genitalia. I'm disappointed. Annabelle, is it laziness or a case of when you're on a good thing, stick to it?
I could not love that ad more, so I am biased. But that ad is like the incredible self-wiping ad, because I enjoyed that ad last time. I remember on this show, we laughed about it many times. I haven't thought about it a single time since, and yet now I love it again, and I know there's something charming about it. Like, maybe it's the sheer effrontery of rhyming Australia with failure and just, you know, still having the thumbs up.
I actually like that. I can't stand that.
No.
Yeah, that's
brilliant.
Bob Catter and Clive Palmer exist because of ads like that. You know, I mean, that's what when you're a monopoly, you make ads like that.
You feel warm about it because it reminds you of Meadow Lee. And you ought to be congratulated. And it reminds you of Come On, Aussie, Come On.
Yeah, because it basically ripped off those two songs.
Exactly. I mean, it's a bloody beauty.
To be fair, they changed the shots, adding more families and Swan Hill's very attractive Murray cod. But this is the bit that grabbed me.
Together you are the majority.
Together you are the majority. Now, I'm a country kid, but regional Australia accounts for 11% of the population. John, can we really trust the economy to a party that thinks 11% is a majority?
The answer's no. And the saving grace is none of them will have a serious economic portfolio if Abbott wins. Having said that, this is an ad for their constituency. This is what these people tend to believe. I mean, they think they carry us on the sheep's back or the miner's back or whatever.
If this is the election of same old ads, here's where it gets weird. On Monday, the Greens launched their new TV spot. That might have felt familiar to you, and if it did, it might have something to do with this pitch ad from Gruen Nation 2010. Not an exact repeat, but a pretty solid cover version. Except last time they were thinking and this time they're just standing up. And hardly a surprise, because the agency that made that pitch ad for us, Republic of Everyone, went on to win the Greens account. So, Lachlan, now that an old ad is new again, will it work better than the other three?
I think it works better for the Greens than it does for the Nationals, because the Greens are up against the Labor Party rather than the Bob Catters and the Clive Palmers of the world. And so kind of playing on people's heartstrings I think is going to be much more effective, particularly in the context of Rudd's PNG policy. I think it's a good introductory ad, but they're going to have to sharpen up if they don't want to lose their voters who like the Greens more but want to vote for Labor to try and keep Abbott out effectively.
It's a bit of a moving forward ad for the Greens too, don't you? I mean, like, I could not help but be struck by the absolute absence of foliage of any kind from that Greens ad, you know? I mean, there's a mention of climate in the first little grab, and then it moves straight on to all these other social issues. And if you have a look at the way the Greens are campaigning this time round, it's talking first about asylum seekers, because that is the issue on which they have the point of distinction from the other two parties.
The thing about Greens as a brand that's interesting is that they are not a destination brand. They are a default brand for the frustrated. And so they do need to focus on policy, because they're not going to win a popularity contest. And I like the ad. The other thing I think is that if you're free, if you don't care if you're going to lose or not, you know, you're not worried about winning, which is all the other ones are, then you can do something good.
I think this time the Greens are really struggling for an identity, and I agree with Annabelle. They're trying to position themselves on asylum seekers, but more likely than not they're going to lose support. I mean, the 13% or so they got last time is looking more like 9% this time.
9 would be a disappointing number because that is 2 less than a majority.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course, if Australia's political parties really want to know how to make an ad, they need only ask themselves one question. What would Poland do? Yes, Poland, home of Chopin John Paul II and election advertising that is totes amazeballs. See, Kevin? That's how you make yourself sound young and groovy. Lol. What do Polish politicians do when they want to grab the voters' attention? Simple. They go death metal. I didn't know Corey Bernardi had even been to Poland. Greatest election ad ever. This is The Small Picture, where we focus on life's little things. In tonight's case, the obsession that Captain Selfie...
Here we go. We'll do a selfie. Selfie. Yeah, do a selfie.
AKA Kevin Rudd, has with posting pictures of himself on Instagram and Twitter. He's been doing it a while, but really pushed the envelope a few weeks ago when he posted this shot of a shaving cut. Lachlan, what sort of planning led up to the moment where Kevin, standing at the bathroom sink, bleeding, thought, grab a camera?
Oh. Look, none. People complain about, spin doctors, get rid of them when you don't have spin doctors. Stuff like that happens. Look, it's dad joke logic, OK? If you like Rudd, if you like your dad, you think the dad joke's funny. If you don't like your dad, you don't think it's funny and you hate it. But it's the same joke. It's not cool. And that's what happens with stuff like that is if people who like Rudd, they'll love it. They'll think it's funny, unorthodox, cool, open, kind of unplaned. People who hate him are just like, I hate that guy. I'm going to rip my hair out if I see him ever again.
Well, he's got what, 60... I think he's got 60,000 Instagram followers. 8,500 people like that.
Yeah.
So, there are people that do like it. I just think that he's thinking he's a celebrity. It's almost like he's a Kardashian.
Yeah. I think he'd be really offended. He'd be like, they're almost a Rudd, don't you mean?
I think we sometimes forget that social media is an ego amplifier, and sometimes it's not about strategy, it's just about narcissism, and Instagram's great for that. And Kevin, that would have been no advice. That's rogue Kevin at his best.
John, would you have liked to have run in this new world?
Yes and no. I think it's a tremendous mechanism for getting your message out, but you're only getting it out to a relatively small number of people. And what bothers me is the strategy behind this. What is your strategy in relation to this? I mean, I recently looked at the Facebook pages of Rudd and Abbott and Obama. And Obama's a really dignified Facebook page. Yeah. Always big smiles, really dignified positions. Nothing like this. This guy used to be a narcissist, now he's perfect. We've got to learn it.
You don't just get it out to a small amount of people.
Well, it depends. Engagement.
Well, this shot has been everywhere.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of elusive motherlode of social media, right? And people who know a tiny bit about social media, who are politicians, often make the mistake of thinking that their press release is going to go viral. This is going to go viral.
Yeah.
This is my 6-point plan. It's going to go viral. And it's also for a generation, and make no mistake, Kevin Rudd is pitching for that younger generation that already know all there is to know, partly through shows like this about spin and messaging and so on. The idea of this sort of evanescent contact between the political leader and yourself, or the idea that you are seeing something behind the scenes, is incredibly valuable.
Yeah. Can you imagine the narcissism of a man taking a photo like that and thinking maybe one day people will sit around for 10 minutes and discuss it? Not to be outdone, Tony Abbott's been uploading more pics of late. On the weekend, he changed his Facebook cover photo to this pair of young lovers. On Friday, he posted a childhood holiday snap and tweeted this pic sharing an ice cream with daughters Frances and Bridget. Those calories will give him an excuse to go for another run. John, can Tony win the battle of the social?
I don't think so. I think he's laid into it, and what I see is more orchestrated, more cliched in a sense as well, than some of Kevin's, which are more natural. I think Tony's still being heavily controlled by somebody putting what they want on there to create a particular image of Tony. Not too many budgie smugglers and more of what you've just seen.
Fair bit of lycra, though.
A bit of lycra.
Can you imagine if they let Tony just do the selfies he wanted to do?
See, the key here is discipline.
In the end, if you look at their social media photo outputs side by side, you'd have to say our two main leaders have quite distinct styles. Kevin Rudd favours the Kim Jong-un approach of showing yourself with mobs of cheering fans. Tony Abbott, on the other hand, has learnt everything he knows from the Kim Jong-un approach of trying to appear engaged while looking at inanimate objects, like maps, fruit, and grass. And that's the small picture. Time for the sing-along part of the show. Tonight, on our way to the pitch, we pay tribute to the campaign song. Dynamite in the hands of a smart candidate like Florida Congressman Mike Weinstein, who surfed to power on the wave of a cheesy 80s tune so catchy that, and take this as a warning, once heard, it will never be forgotten. Wow, if that was any wider, it'd be Julian Assange. If you really want to get down with the kids, do what Family First candidate Henry Heng did this year.
Henry, let's over for Henry. Let's over for Henry. Put a family first. He has a family. He knows what it's like to love and to care.
Guess we know what the Wiggles have been up to. I love the lyrics. He has a family and he puts them first. That's living up to your party's name. If that concept catches on, the Liberals will become tolerant. Labor might achieve something and the sex party will be fun. Or maybe they'll take inspiration from their hero, Silvio Berlusconi, whose theme song, the subtly titled Thank Goodness for Silvio, is a hymn of praise sung by beautiful women ovulating at the sound of his name.
Con quella forza che ha solamente chi è puro di mente. Presidente, siamo con te. Meno male che Silvio c'è. Presidente, questo è per te.
Silvio personally chose each of those women. And when I say chose, I mean had sex with. For the record, theme songs considered but rejected by Silvio included Are You Old Enough?, Bunga Bunga Burning Love, and the richly deserved Jailhouse Rock. Which brings us to the pitch. Two agencies to write election songs, one for Rudd's Labor and one for Abbott's Liberals. Can they sing their way into our hearts? Please welcome from The Works, Kevin McMillan, and from Oddfellows, Ed Berridge. All right, Kevin, where did you find the secret chord?
Well, as you'd know, Will, this is the third time on the Gruen for The Works. The first time we had to sell holidays to Baghdad. The second time we had to convince people that compulsory euthanasia was cool. And this time we have to get votes for Kevin Rudd. Arguably, this was the harder of the three.
Let's have a look.
There are three politicians worthy of your vote. Three politicians worthy of your vote. But if one politician plans to pull the rug out from under the economy by stopping clean coal mining or the safe export of uranium to signatories of the Non-Proliferation Treaty at a cost of thousands of jobs and billions of dollars, there's really two politicians worthy of your vote. 2 politicians worthy of your vote. But if one politician is not a massive fan of women outside of a domestic childbearing capacity or people from another country, despite Australia needing the unique skill set of both groups, there's really one politician worthy of your vote. If you don't want our country to accidentally fall, vote Kevin Rudd.
All right, Ed, how did you tune in?
Well, it was easy for us. I mean, we just stayed focused on what is our biggest strength in the campaign, and that's the shambles on the other side.
Let's have a look.
You bring your K-Rud in, you take your K-Rud out, you put your K-Rud back in, and you hope it all works out. You bring in a new leader, get ahead in the polls, 'cause that's what it's all about. You say carbon tax in, you say carbon tax out, you bring the carbon tax in, for green support, no doubt. You shift on policy just to win a few seats, 'cause that's what it's all about. The votes come in, the votes go out. You blame someone else 'cause you can't figure it out. Is that what it's all about?
Let's stop the childish games. Vote Tony Abbott, the leader Australia really needs.
Good job. Excellent job, both of you. All right, let's see what the panel thought. Russell, a pretty tough one, I would have thought.
Well, they were both superbly built. I mean, the production values in both of them were brilliant. But I am going to go with the latter one, the Libs and Ed from Oddfellows. Well done, mate.
Annabelle?
I too am going with Ed. I just think that it's whistleable, it's rememberable. It doesn't show Tony Abbott until the very last second. And as a result, it'll probably be on our TVs next week.
Lachlan?
Yeah, I thought they were both good. I thought, look, I'm going to go Kevin with Kevin just because I thought it had more of that sense of a match-up between the two.
John?
I'd go the Abbott ad on the basis that he doesn't appear until the end, which I think fits his strategy perfectly.
That's true. And finally, Todd?
Can't go past the hokey pokey. I go for the second one.
Well, Andrew Bolt's head is going to explode because the Coalition have won something on the ABC. Congratulations. That's real.
Thank you.
That's how our panel caught it. You can have your say on Twitter and Facebook, watch the replay on YouTube or write your own song. Now, it's back to the game. This is On the Trail, where we head out on the tour bus to see what we can crash into. Let's try to salvage something from Sunday night's debate. Beyond the observations that Kevin likes boobs, thinks he might be the Fonz, and possibly isn't as well endowed as he'd like to be. All that hand movement stuff is distracting. Annabelle, why don't his minders tell him to tone it down?
Look, the relationship between Kevin and hand movements is one that's been growing for many years. Yeah, he started off pretty low-key. He did a bit of, you know, the dead spider and a little bit of this one. Remember, this is the, I'm brainy, I'm still brainy. It's quite brainy. And now it's just this kind of incredible array. I mean, there's this excellent one, which I reckon is trying to catch an evasive frog with an upturned whiskey glass. And then there's, you know, that one which is kind of cupping the breasts of an invisible peasant girl. And then you've got a new one that happened...
I'm just seeing Lou.
Sorry. And then the new one from the debate was this excellent one, which is like trying to get a tinny into an already full bar fridge. Your question about why doesn't someone tell him? I think people often ask that about minders. Well, people say that about politicians all the time. Oh, where's the minders? Why aren't the minders?
I mean, seriously, during the debate the other night, he landed 6 planes. Yeah.
The issue, Will...
But if he'd won the debate, I don't think you would have noticed.
The challenge with body language is about congruence, right? The research is pretty clear. If it's about alignment, if his body language is aligning with his message, then you trust him. But if it's not, you don't. And Rudd does things like the one thing I want to tell you about. You know, and it's not aligned, so it makes you think what's going on. But using your hands is quite difficult because if you don't use them, people don't trust you. If you use them too much, you're over-exaggerating. So I think he's trying, but he's got some weird small dysmorphia with his fingers. He keeps going like this and like this and this. It's weird. His fingers are weird.
John, did you ever have any tics or traits that people told you that you couldn't?
I think at some stage in his career he's probably told to use his hands more.
Yeah.
And then it's just become a bit overdone because as it's harder to get the message out, he's doing more with his hands and less with his mouth. So
it's very hard to say to someone, use your hands just enough to be believable,
That's
but
right.
not so much that it's like they'll look at you like, you're an idiot, mate. I'm trying to win a debate here. You get lost, you know what I mean?
Though we were thrown by Tony's squinty listening face, he was arguably more calm and reassuring, more comfortable. Lachlan, would the briefs have been different going into the debate?
Yeah. Absolutely. Abbott had the Ashes strategy in that debate, right? He wanted you to get bored and turn on the Ashes and think about something else because he's happy where the election is. Like, he's not trying... Abbott, if you'd said to Abbott, I think on the Sunday morning, I can guarantee you you'll lose. I think Rudd probably just got up by a whisker, like, technically in the thing. I can guarantee you'll lose by 2%, but no one will really care, and the biggest issue will be Notegate. Abbott would be like, where can I sign? I'll take that. He doesn't want you to engage in the election because he's happy with where things are, so it's a super low-risk strategy, and that's why you see that. And then it was the Mogadon debate, you know, and that's exactly the way Abbott would want it.
But I think it's sad that two intelligent people have to suppress who they are and be puppets of pollsters and image makers. I mean, you know Tony just wants to grab Rudd's head and give him a noogie. and you know Rudd just wants to go completely postal. Like, he's just sitting there going... Oh.
No, I think that Tony Abbott would give him the noogie and Ruddy at the same time would be taking a selfie of... That stuck to slogans during the debate, avoiding answering questions. Kevin did grab the opportunity to remind us he's the underdog.
If they were voting yesterday, according to the opinion polls, would have elected Mr Abbott as Prime Minister.
Bizarrely, Tony's trying to get in on the action too.
I've always said that winning government from opposition is like climbing Mount Everest.
3 Sherpas have died already this election campaign. This is the election where both sides want to be seen as more hopeless than the other. Russell, what would happen if someone said, I'm the man, eat my dust?
Well, wouldn't that just be awesome? I mean, I would so love it if someone, maybe, John, were you the last one to do it? Someone who actually came out up front and said, OK, here's what we need to do. Here is the plan. I'm confident. It's vital that we go down this route. And just in all this fudge talk from both sides, it does drive one mental. Wouldn't it be ace if someone came out and said, you know what? I'm going to win this, and we're all going to be better off as a result.
I loved your question, by the way, which was half finished, which was, John, were you the last one who did this, and are you the reason they don't do it anymore?
I am, because my Fight Back package, which went into thousands of pages, is now considered the longest political suicide note in history.
Right.
And so they all work to be small targets, to attract little attention, to say very little of substance. And you know, the debate was really... You know, very little difference between the two. And the world would just love someone to stand up and say, we've got to do this, we've got to solve this, we've got to move here.
Yes, and yet both men are capable of substance.
Of course they are.
Both are extremely bright.
I do think, though, that it's gone so far that the electorate is now desperate for somebody to stand up and say it doesn't need to be this way. We're going to break out of the 24-hour media cycle. We're going to actually start to solve some problems. We're going to deliver good government. And you know, I think that will be a refreshing change. Now, it's high risk in today's game, but I think... Yeah, a new way. That's right. Offer hope.
John, you are the voice of Australia. If the debate achieved nothing else, at least it changed one person's mind.
I want to drop a bit of a clanger here. I can't believe I'm about to do it, but I'm asking Australians to vote for Kevin Rudd.
That's all we have time for tonight. Please thank our panel, Russell, Annabelle, Lachlan, John and Todd. Well done, thank you. We'll be back next week with another look at the politics of selling and the selling of politics. Before we go, in the age of instant opinion, the reviews are already in for tonight's show. Here's our favourite.
Fucking hopeless.
Sorry, Kev, I'll try harder next time. I'll use notes. And in the meantime, we'll leave you with another song. In 2010, the best party in Icelandic outfit, led by actor and comedian Jon Nah, smashed it in the Reykjavik council election, winning almost 35% of the vote. Why? Their theme tune might have had something to do with it. We'll see you next week.
Stöf sem free for